Taking accountability for your mistakes and being able to talk about them without shame or guilt is power. Being able to just admit your mistakes is so powerful. There is no shame in saying, I may not have known better then, but I know better now. Take your power back. The Love You, Miss You, Bye podcast. Let's inspire each other. Hi, and welcome to Love You, Miss You, Bye with me, Christi Chanelle. Every time that I record an episode, I come to my dad's house, which is about 35 minutes away, and I film in his man cave, which he's created for music and sound, and it just so works out that it's also for podcasting. As I was getting the idea for a podcast, I started and recorded a few really bad visual episodes, and the sound wasn't as great, the visuals weren't as great. On the YouTube version, I will show you a clip of my very first recording. It's so bad. It's so bad. Like in the beginning of the podcast, did you want to do education where I'm like, all right, let's talk about the high topics. We can name it something else, obviously, but...
Hello and welcome to the Code Green Plant podcast. I am your host, Christi Chanelle, and also the CEO and founder of Simply Vibin', our sponsor for the Code Green Plant podcast. Let me introduce my co-host.
Every time I drive to my dad's, I always put on a podcast so that I can listen and learn and maybe hear something that's kind of eye-opening. And that happened to me today. I turned on the Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard. From a man's point of view, but he has a co-host that's a woman. I don't remember her name because this is really the first episode that I've ever really truly listened to, and I'm not even finished. I'm going to finish the other half on the way home. But I looked and I found one of his episodes was Anna Kendrick. Now, I know, okay, she was in Troll, like her voice was in Troll. She's got like this beautiful voice. She's on his episode. Now, and she's also, I'm trying to think of things she was in. Besides Trolls, she was also known for like that Cup song and that movie, which it's about singing. Oh my God, what was the name of it? You're probably yelling at me with the name of the movie. I know. And I'm leaving tomorrow, what do you say? When I'm gone, when I'm gone.
You're gonna miss me when I'm gone. Oh, you're gonna miss me by my hair. You're gonna miss me everywhere. Oh, I know you're gonna miss me when I'm gone.
So when I pulled that video up, it is from the movie Perfect Pitch. So I've seen her around, I've seen her before, and if I'm going to be completely transparent, I didn't really like her. I know, we see people and we're just like, yeah, no, it's an honest reaction. Now, that's not fair for me to say because I don't really know her. But honestly, that's how we all kind of react to celebrities. We make an opinion, we choose how we see them. And my opinion originally was not the best of her. She didn't do anything to me. She never did anything wrong. It was just, you kind of make a decision if, well, can I hang out with her? Would I ever be friends with her? And go with that. Well, I had decided, no, I can't be. So, but I put this episode on anyway. And I listened to the beginning of it, and Dax Shepard is saying how this was one of the most amazing episodes that he has ever done. It really got him thinking, and I'm like, well, let me see what she's really like. So I opened it up, put it on while I'm driving, and she's just like us. Really, she has the same things going through her life and her past that we can totally identify with. She talks a lot about a long-term relationship that she was in, but it almost seemed like he didn't have any true compassion for her. And he had revealed a secret that he, I guess, talked with somebody. It took her a really long time to get through this relationship. And, which I can identify with, she stayed in it way too long. What I really liked is that she took accountability for her role in that relationship. For a long time, stayed in it because that was part of her plan. That was part of the dream. They would go right off into the sunset, like many of us have. You know, it's like we hold on for way too long. I would highly recommend you going to listen to this episode. And if you ever thought like you couldn't be friends with Anna Kendricks, I challenge you now. I bet you can. I bet you there's a lot you can relate to in her life and her relationships. Sure, not the extreme stardom and fame, just the human. And it completely ties in to what I wanted to talk about today, which is accountability. I have talked with you in other episodes about the fact that I had stayed in relationships since I was 13 years old. So it was a long-term relationship after long-term relationship. And in those episodes, I talk about self-love, but I never really covered my accountability for being in those relationships. And I kind of want to touch a little bit about that. While I was in them, I was blaming my partner in the relationship for the relationship, which I think happens because you can't kind of see outside and see what your role in the whole thing is. It takes me back to a situation where I can honestly say I probably provoked the reaction, but ironically, I don't even remember what I said. I remember what he said. That's what stands out in my head. So I'm not going to take accountability for him telling me I needed to go drive into a tree and die. I'm not going to take accountability for those words, but I am going to take accountability for my role in allowing someone to think that they can talk to me like that, especially someone that is supposed to love me. And I think as I left that relationship and got into my next relationship, I did take that with me. I decided at that point, I'm never going to be in a relationship where somebody talks to me that way. Fighting is fine. There's passion in a relationship. You're not going to be getting along 24/7. And if you are, there's probably, now this is just speculation, but most likely it's because you guys aren't addressing what's happening in the relationship and you're sweeping it under the rug. I don't know for sure, but I can tell you that that's happened to me too. So I'm just pulling from my own experience. So from that relationship, I decided the next argument that I get into, no matter who it's with, I am never going to attack the person. Because what does that accomplish? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. Those words can't be taken back. And when you start, I know you get mad and I know you get angry and you just want to go poke somebody in the eye. How can I hurt the other person worse than what they're hurting me? And sometimes that's hard. It's hard to get past the anger. But I learned that I'm not going to play a role in that. I am not going to attack the person that I care about and the person that I love or the person that I respect and tear them down as a person. Instead, if I'm fighting with someone or arguing with someone, I'm going to attack the problem and my perception of the issue, but never the person. I try to take things now from every relationship that I've ever been in. That includes business coworkers. It includes family. It includes friends and spouses. Even in anger, show love. I'm not perfect at it, but because I have been so damaged by people's words and so uplifted by people's words, I know how powerful they are. I mean, you don't even realize how powerful they are. But if you sit there and you think back to when words have hurt you, I bet you remember how you felt, what the environment was, how they said it. You may not even remember what it was about, but you remember the words because that's how powerful words are. So I take accountability for allowing someone to think that it's okay for them to hurt me with their words, because it's not. And I've said, I've never been physically abused in a relationship. There was kind of the start of something, but it never got to full-fledged abuse. But I have been verbally abused. And people are like, well, that's not really abuse. Well, it is. It is. Because when you have words like that attack you and tear you down and make you feel like you're not good enough or that you're lower than somebody else, it's a big deal. It's also one of my triggers in the office. I feel like somebody is talking down to me, I can feel myself getting really, really upset. So controlling my reaction is sometimes difficult. If it comes through in an email and I even sense that they're trying to do that, I have to not respond right away. Like I have to walk away and think about it and maybe initially write a draft, but not send it just so that I can kind of get it out. Because I'm usually the next day, 24 hours later, when I wake up and I go to work, I'm not in the same frame of mind. So I won't send it. And I'm glad that I didn't send it. So it takes a lot of self-awareness to not respond appropriately. I think it'd be appropriate. I think it's appropriate. The way, you're going to talk to me like that, you're going to get back what you deserve. But maybe they didn't mean it that way. So I can only interpret the way I feel when I read it or the way I feel when you say it. I can't know with 100% certainty how you meant it. It is always going to be easier to blame than it is to take accountability. It's harder to take accountability because that really requires you to look at yourself and really figure out what role you played in this whole scenario. In my journey to healing, it really did involve me going inside to figure out my contribution to the situations that I was in. At first, it's so easy to blame the other person. It is. And I'm not saying that you should take accountability for violence or abuse in any form. That is something you shouldn't take accountability for. There are two things in a relationship about accountability. There are times when you should take accountability, and there are times when you should not take accountability. You shouldn't take accountability for cheating. I think most of us do. What did I do? Why wasn't I good enough? How did I contribute to him cheating? Did I not look good enough? Am I fat? Am I ugly? Am I not as pretty as her? Did we not have enough sex? What is it? That type of accountability, I don't want you to take accountability for. If he's violent, verbally abusive, does drugs, drinks, none of that is stuff that you need to ever take accountability for. The stuff I'm talking about is your role in the relationship itself. Take accountability for anything that you feel you could have done better and didn't. I pulled up an article on Blavity. It's called Maybe It's You. What does it really mean to be accountable? Have you ever taken a step back to really take a look at your life? Are you happy where you are now? Is your dating life where you want it to be? Well, I can answer that question. No. Yes? We'll get back to that. You are exactly where you are today due to the actions that you have taken. Think about that for a second. You are exactly where you are supposed to be due to the actions you have taken. I know this sounds like tough love. I do. I realize it. But somebody out there right now needs to hear this. But I still love you anyway. Listen, stop making excuses and own up to your mistakes. So you need to acknowledge what you did wrong so that it doesn't happen again. If you don't have that person in your life to give you tough love, you are in the right place. Let's do this. Stop playing the victim. I'm sure we've all done this before. Yes, we have. People who often play the victim are unable to manage their own anger. Listen, that's what I was saying about the emails. It's like I had to step away for 24 hours because I was pissed. I was angry. And I wanted to let them know I was angry and pissed. I guess we can say I'm evolving because I take that 24 hours now, whereas in my 20s, I did not. I did not. These people tend to project past traumas on their current situation. In order to stop playing the victim, you need to regain the power from the past trauma and deal with the process of healing. That's what we're doing. The process is far from easy. Hell no. It will break you down and bring up emotions and events that may have been suppressed for years, but just know that the process is necessary for your growth. Yes, this horrible event happened to me, but it no longer has the power over me or you. Your life is yours. It is as simple as knowing you are in control of your own life. You have 100% control. I know for some people it may not look like it for whatever reason, but you are. You are. You just have to know it. You have to really, really know it. You can't expect different results by doing the same thing. This applies to relationships and even your career. You're unhappy in your current role? Okay. Have you taken the necessary steps to obtain that role that better suits you? Every action that you've taken up until today is the reason why you're in your current situation. Like they just said that a few minutes ago. So I guess it bears repeating. Every action is your fault. Okay, no, it's not. That's not 100% true. No, it kind of is. Yeah, it is. All the choices that we've made up to this very moment that you are listening to me tell you this has been on us. 100%. You can have your own pity party. Sure, absolutely. I'll bring the balloons. Or take full responsibility for your actions and curate the life that you want. We are the authors of our own novel. Reclaim your time. Reclaim your own life. No is a complete sentence that needs no explanation. If you're not interested in going out on a second date, don't waste your time. Just don't do it. We may not have control of the people we attract, but we do have control over what and who we entertain. Okay. The reason I disagree with that line is because I think you attract what you put out. You know, it's that manifesting type mentality. If I put out that I'm a put together, fierce, independent woman, I'm going to attract somebody that's attracted to that. So I disagree with that line. And you may disagree with me, but I don't know. I believe in the fact the energy you throw out into the universe is the energy that's coming back to you. And I want to put together a man that has his own life, his own career, and is independent and is okay with having feelings and knows how to communicate them. Am I overshooting here? Because if I am, I'm good alone. I mean, come on now. If I'm overshooting that I need a man that has resolved his traumas, whatever they may be, is now self-aware, independent, has his own hobbies, loves his mom or his family, and can communicate feelings, I'm good by myself. But I know I'm damn well sure going to put out the energy that that's what I'm looking for. And we'll start here on this podcast. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm not even looking, just to kind of clarify that statement. I'm not looking, I'm just being. If you're in a rut when it comes to dating, access the people you've been entertaining. Do they all have the same red flags that you are simply overlooking? I think a lot of us overlook those red flags because he's cute, because he's a bad boy. You know, we just overlook it. It's like, no, it'll be fine. It's all good. That red flag about the way he treats that waitress, that's a real red flag, and it will come back 100 times on you. He's a man-child. He doesn't know how to treat people, and he thinks people owe him. That's one red flag that I'm never going to overlook. Man, if you do not know how to treat people in the service industry, we'll never get along. Ever. Ever. Being accountable means owning up to your shit. There are too many people out there that are not willing to take a look in the mirror. Look, fam, it's time to come to terms with the fact that maybe it's you. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's not you. Listen, this article was intended to kind of slap you in the face. I'm wondering what you got out of it. Did any of this make sense to you? Do you feel like you made a connection to anything in that article? I mean, it was kind of loud, it was kind of in your face a little bit. I pulled this up because a lot of what I'm talking about today is about relationships. I'm not sure of the tone. I pull articles and I want to read them with you because I want to learn too. So it's really the first time I'm actually reading the article here with you. And that's why you see me go, I agree, I don't agree, because I'm really just digesting it here with you for the first time. So I just pulled 2 blanket articles. The first one is kind of it's in your face, take accountability. The second one, I just noticed it. It's about finding the silver lining in toxic relationships. So I'm not sure the tone it's going to fall in, if it's going to be all encompassing bad relationships or it's just romantic, but we'll learn together. Okay, so this one's called The Silver Lining of Toxic Relationships, 9 Priceless Lessons. And this is on toxicities, breaking free from abuse. More relationships, which is fine because I think most of my toxic relationships, not all, but most, have been romantic ones. So I'm definitely going to find some stuff here that I can relate to on a deep level. Is there a silver lining to toxic relationships? Some might say, hell no. It's a terrible experience, and you're better off forgetting it like a bad dream and moving on. But for those of you who are inclined to look for meaning and value in all life has to offer, me and you, the answer is more complicated. So that's us. In fact, it appears that yes, there is an upside to toxic relationships. That upside is personal growth. Amen to that, because honestly, that's where I got like the biggest growth in my life after each one of these relationships. You know, my problem was I would go to the extreme. Okay, so my first boyfriend was very bullyish. You know, he bullied people. He was kind of manly man. So my next relationship he was the opposite of that. He was really, really funny and didn't take life seriously at all. So it's like from one extreme to the other. And I was not able to find the balance in between. And I am very aware of my pendulum swinging from one side to the other. I'm taking that from that and saying, okay, these are the things I don't want. And these are the things I want. Okay, so let's see what else the article says. What is a toxic relationship? I'm going to go ahead and read this part, even though I think that majority of us know exactly what a toxic relationship is. But there may be somebody listening who's unsure if they're in one, but has an idea they might be. So for you, I'm going to read this. A toxic relationship is a relationship where one or both partners engage in emotional abuse and other forms of destructive behavior. In such a relationship, one partner is usually unequal to another. There is a general lack of support, understanding, and respect. Hardly anyone can escape the curse of a toxic relationship, unfortunately. In some ways, it's a universal human experience, a rite of passage. How depressing. So how do you know you're in a toxic relationship? Human relationships are complex and nuanced, so it's not always obvious. For example, you might confuse passion with toxicity or abuse with love and control with care. But as you live and gain knowledge, you learn who's ultimately good for you and who's not. As you look back at those relationships that once brought you so much thrill and torment, you might be wondering, what was the point of it? Why did I have to go through it? Isn't there a way to skip all the suffering and live happily ever after? If there is, I want to know about it because I will start budgeting for it now in my spreadsheet of finances. Okay. Believe it or not, even if there was a way to skip to the good part, you don't want to, because as wretched as they are, toxic relationships do have a silver lining. Here are some things you might learn from a toxic relationship. Love. Perhaps you learned what love is and what it isn't. This is an important lesson that doesn't come easy to those of us who come from abusive or traumatic childhoods. So love. I hate that that's how you have to learn love. I don't like that. Strength. After your toxic relationship, you probably learned that you're stronger than you thought. Yep, we are. You and I. If you left a toxic relationship, you're stronger than many. And if you still haven't done it, you will. I know you will. I gave that a moment of silence right there. Because if you're in one, you're the one I'm talking to right now. You deserve so much more in this life. You do. You do. And when you leave, and I'm not talking right away, but when you leave, like a year later, you're going to look back and think, why did I stay? Why did I stay? And then you're going to be really freaking proud of yourself. And I'm going to be really freaking proud of you. I'm actually proud of you right now because you're listening to this. And you probably didn't even know it was going to go there. That means you were meant to hear it. And I'm glad I could share this with you. I believe in you. Everyone listening believes in you. Voice. This is the number 3 lesson. Voice. If you were in a toxic relationship, you probably felt censored. Speaking your truth was dangerous. So you had to stay quiet to keep the peace. I get that on a deep level. It made you feel small and sad. It also didn't make your relationship any better. So you ended it and you learned to use your voice more. Hey, look what I'm doing. Using my voice. Using my voice. Yeah. Being quiet, man. That shit's for the birds. You realize that the right person won't be threatened by it. Your needs, feelings, and desires are not secondary to someone else's. Ever. You both deserve equal time expressing your feelings. And if you don't want to hear your partner's feelings, then you probably aren't in the right relationship. Because when you truly love someone, you want to know what hurts them. You want to know what makes them happy. And you want to be a part of that happiness. It matters. So if you right now don't really care about their feelings or hearing them communicate their feelings, you're not in a relationship you should be in. Boundaries. I like this one a lot. In a toxic relationship, there's one person who's pushing the boundaries and another who's allowing it. Saying no and standing your ground can be challenging. Whoa. Okay. I read a little bit ahead of this paragraph and had to stop for a sec. It says saying no and standing your ground can be challenging, especially if you are a woman. We're socialized to be nice and agreeable. Maybe boomer generation was, because I don't think Generation X is socialized to be agreeable. I mean, not the people I know. We're out here raising hell. We're out here using our voice. So I don't even like that that's in this paragraph. That bothers me. Oh my God. I don't even know how to react because I didn't expect it. I get what it's saying. Yes, we're just like men are programmed not to have feelings and to hide them, and we're programmed to be subservient. I get that. I get that's what society would like to happen. Okay. I recognize that that's what society would like to happen. But I am here to tell you that's for the history books, because not my generation. There ain't no way. And the people, the new babies, the Gen Zs and the millennials, and hell no. Yeah, no. I think it really truly died. That whole suppression thing kind of died with the boomers. It's still around a little bit, but we're trying to change that. There are some forces that would like us to go back to that kind of mindset. Gen X ain't gonna let that happen. They're just not. So screw nice and agreeable. But a toxic relationship is a boot camp for setting healthier boundaries. You will either learn or perish. And I hate the definity of that. I hate that it's like one way or the other, but it is one way or the other. You do learn or perish, because if you don't learn, you're going to be stuck in the same cycle, which I was for a trillion years, it feels like, until 7 years ago. I was in that cycle. There were some good moments. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't like in hell every single day, but there were more bad than good. And whenever there's more bad than good, you got to go, or you will perish. We love this one. Self-love. I love this one. Self-love can be a difficult concept in a society that teaches us to hate ourselves, our bodies, our thoughts, and our very beings. That's why this is such an essential lesson. Yeah, 100% to that. I mean, just look at the ads, just look at the plastic surgery, just the body changing, and, and everybody's got to follow this one set of body types, like the Kardashian bodies. People were running to plastic surgeons to get the perfect body aesthetic that they had. And then the aesthetic changes. It changes, just like eyebrows change. We'll go through a fashion moment where it's thin eyebrows. Then we'll go through a fashion moment where it's thick Brooke Shields eyebrows. Don't do something permanent for fashion or a trend, because most likely it will go out of style again and you're stuck with it. So just be happy in your own skin with your big freaking eyebrows, like me. To survive and eventually leave a toxic relationship, you have to reach down deep and find that self-love. It's in there, even if it's a tiny grain of sand on the shores of self-loathing. It's there. It's there. Once you find it, that toxic trauma bond that forged your relationship will start to lose its power. And the realization that you deserve better will emerge. Number 6, power. Speaking of power, first and foremost, a toxic relationship is an experience of disempowerment, feeling hopeless, helpless, powerless, weak, feeling trapped, and completely vulnerable. The silver lining of this is you will never want to feel that way again. So you learn to stand in your power and to recognize when someone is trying to influence you or take control of you. Compassion. Number 7. Compassion is another priceless lesson to learn, whether it's compassion for yourself, your toxic partner, or other people in your life. Your capacity for compassion will expand. Ultimately, it was the compassion for people who suffer in toxic relationships that inspired the writer of the blog. Maybe it will inspire you too, and you will write your own emotional abuse recovery blog. Number 8, self-knowledge. Know thyself. The ancient self-knowledge is essential to our being. Without it, you will live a life of ignorance, apathy, and disempowerment. Only when you know yourself can you truly accept, love, and heal yourself. Being in a toxic relationship is a crash course in who you are, specifically your dark side. You learn your weaknesses, your blind spots, your hot buttons. Oh God, let's talk about the hot buttons. You can't heal what you can't feel. Love that line. That is a good line. A good line. Let me repeat it. Okay. You can't heal what you don't feel. Let that sink in. In a toxic relationship, all your issues are pushed to the surface so you can heal. Number 9, and the last silver lining lesson that comes with being in a toxic relationship: solitude. The last time I saw my toxic boyfriend, he said, "You'll never find anyone better than me." And her reply was, "Then I'd rather be alone." The truth is, losing him scared her. I had no reason to believe that someone better is just around the corner. In fact, I was pretty broken and jaded. Oh my God, why do I feel like singing, to the left, everything you own in a box to the left, Beyonce. Oh my God, that used to be my theme song. But as time passed, I started to appreciate my newfound solitude. I learned to enjoy being alone. I was like a battered soldier who was slowly discovering the joys of life again. Sometimes we're too quick to jump into a new relationship because we don't want to be alone. Me, oh my God, that's me. But there is a beauty to being alone, especially when it's your choice. So there is a silver lining to toxic relationships. The old saying, every cloud has a silver lining, is true when it comes to toxic relationships. Despite the pain and trauma, there is a sizable upside to any difficult or abusive connection you've made. Skip, 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 skip. If you're honest and willing to face some unpleasant truths about yourself, you'll see your toxic relationship as an invaluable learning experience, even a blessing in disguise, perhaps. After all, personal growth is a long and challenging journey. And as with any learning, there is a learning curve. Oh my God, I needed that curve. Lord knows I needed that curve. So I wasn't sure, like, accountability was truly the theme of this episode. I kind of just went with whatever I was thinking. So it looks like we ended up in toxic relationship stuff, but it all ties together, because whether you're in a toxic relationship or you're at work and you made a mistake or whatever it is, take accountability, because not everybody can do it. So if you're able to take accountability for the things in your life, no matter what that accountability is, kudos to you, because you have a characteristic that not everybody has. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of me. I'm proud of us. So thank you for being here. I always say I'm all over the place, and my editing is the one that shines. I don't know how I end up with a final episode when I'm done. I don't. But still thankful that you're here listening to me. And I hope that you'll come to the premiere on Sunday at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time or 8:30 East Coast. Oh, one more thing. I added a little link to the bottom of my episode notes. It says support the show. And you can click that little link and it will take you to this little Buzzsprout website, which is me. And it has little like small denominations at the bottom, 3, 5, 10. And you can support the show for as little as $3. So if you do want to throw in $3, I wouldn't be mad at you. I'd actually want to give you a hug. So there's that. Anyway, thank you for being here. Hit the like and subscribe button, and I will see you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Love you, miss you, bye.
LUMUB Podcast.
Love You, Miss You, Bye has been brought to you by Christi Chanelle, LLC. But if you're looking for more information or want to follow us on social media, go check out ChristiChanelle.com. All the podcasts are streamed there and the YouTube episodes are there. So why not? You can also listen where all podcasts are streamed. This includes Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And lastly, thank you to you, the one that's listening or watching. I appreciate you so much. Love you, miss you, bye.